Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. This time we're going to ride these two motorcycles. So on my left I have 2019 Z400 and on my right I have 2023 NK 450. I do love these bikes a lot, but they are really different. So right now, without further ado, I'll hop on those bikes, ride, and tell you what I think about them. Alright guys, but before we start riding, I do think that it's really important to talk about specification real quick. So these two motorcycles, they are equipped with parallel twin engines. 450 NK has 50 horsepower and 39 Nm of torque. Meanwhile, Z400 has 45. This Z400 has 45 horsepower and 38 Nm of torque. Both bikes, they have single front brake, and NK 450 has 320mm single brake, which comes from Jejuan, and Z400 over here has 310mm single disc, which comes from Nissan. NK 450 and Z400 both featuring 220mm single disc from behind. Z400 has dual channel ABS, meanwhile NK 450 has Bosch ABS. And in front you can see that NK 450 is featuring upside down front suspension, which comes from KYB. It's non-adjustable, but it does look nice and feels really good. Z400 on the other hand doesn't have an upside down fork, it has an average fork, which many people don't like, but actually is still soft and really nice. The seat height of NK 450 is 795mm, the seat height of Z400 is 780mm, so Z400 is a smaller bike, and as you can see from the side, it does look smaller. Design-wise, NK 450 is a very aggressive bike. Z400 is featuring aggressive look as well, but I feel like NK 450 does look better and really looks more mean, more evil, more aggressive in general, has more sharp edges to it. Both of those bikes are featuring LED headlights and taillights. Z400 and NK 450 have the same tank fuel capacity, which is 14 liters. NK 450 has tubular steel frame, and Z400 has trellis steel frame. The carb weight of this bike is 165 kilograms, and the carb weight of Z400 is 167 kilograms. Z400 has LCD dash, NK 450 has 5-inch TFT dash. NK 450's ignition is located in a really nice spot. The ignition on Z400 is a bit uncomfortable in my case. This is the sound of NK 450, and that is the sound of Z400. Now, after this quick overview, let's hop on those bikes and ride them. Hit the brakes. Now it is time for me to talk about Z400. Alright, actually it's pretty comfortable, you know, even though it's a bit small for me. Let's go. Yeah, and foot pegs are a bit higher than on NK450. So ergonomic wise, I feel a bit more cramped on Z400 compared to NK450. And the throttle is not as responsive as on NK450, I can say right away. This is the traffic I live in. And actually it's a pretty dangerous thing for most people. Alright, let me squeeze through. Yeah, thank you. Alright. It's pretty crazy actually. One really cool thing to say about Z400 is that it has that positive neutral finder, so you can find neutral every single time you ride, and I feel like for beginners it'll be a very useful option. Alright guys, so the traffic is just crazy. You have to be very maneuverable and you have to be riding a very maneuverable bike to go through. Suspension on Z400 is really soft. Just now I ran over some bumps and it feels just incredible, but most of the time the asphalt is pretty nice, so suspension on K450 is still more suitable for a city, I would say. You know, just now I was in a really bad traffic jam and I would say that the Z400 feels awesome. A very cool feature of Z400 is that it's a very stable bike. It's more stable on a high speed than an K450, and the difference in weight is only 2 kilograms. So Z400 is 2 kilograms heavier than an K450, and it's a really fun thing that it has no traction control, but it feels so stable. Yeah, Z400 is a very good bike for super dense traffic. I would even say that due to the small size, it's more suitable for super dense traffic than NK450. Again, I feel a little bit cramped, but if you are a shorter rider, I feel like you would love this position. And the seat is so soft. I can complain about NK450 seat a bit because I've been riding for some time and it rubs my butt. So yeah. I would change the seat. The crazy thing about Z400 is that it has no traction control. Meanwhile, the front wheel is firmly planted. No matter how hard you're going to drop your clutch, you're not going to do any wheelies on that machine. If you're a stunt rider, perhaps you can do some wheelies, but you have to really push it hard. So if you're looking for a bike with traction control, probably Z400 might be your option, even though it has no traction control. I would say that Z400 is one of the most stable bikes from the displacement. It's incredibly stable. I was going around 140 kilometers per hour and the handlebars feel really nice. Nothing is loose, nothing is hovering over the asphalt. Everything feels really good. And the K450 is just a little bit unstable once you start riding fast, which might be a bit scary for beginners. If you would ask my opinion, I would say that in general, NK450 is a faster and way more fun bike to ride. It's tall, it's very powerful, it has really nice bottom and torque, and the engine is super smooth. And Z400 is a super reliable machine. It does the job perfectly. However, it doesn't give you what NK450 can give you. The throttle on Z400 is less sharp, which is a good thing for a beginner, but a bad thing for experienced rider in my opinion. Z400 starts picking up speed at 6,000 RPM, so 6,000 RPM is where a power band is. Meanwhile, on K450, power is available straight from the bottom. Alright guys, so hopping back on NK450 after Z400, one thing I can tell you right away is that it feels so much snatchier. It feels way more ready to go, way more ready to go. It feels more aggressive. It feels way meaner in a good sense than Z400. It has 50 horsepower, 39 newton-meters of torque, but it does feel so fast. One thing to say about it is that the engine is super smooth, but at the same time, it has an incredible bottom end torque, which is just crazy. So it's not as jerky as KTM 390, as I already mentioned in my previous videos, but it's still as fast as KTM 390 straight from the bottom. The second thing is the riding position. NK450 is way taller than Z400. For me personally, this riding position is way more comfortable than on Z400 because I'm a taller rider. I'm 185 centimeters. Meanwhile, Z400 would be very suitable for guys who are like shorter than 175, I would say. My girlfriend is 167, and for her, Z400 is just a perfect option. Again, I'll remind you that the seat height of Z400 is 780 millimeters. Meanwhile, on NK450 is 795 millimeters. The difference is not substantial on paper, but in real life, it feels way different. NK450 is so much fun to ride. I would say that this is the most suitable bike for a city. It's way more suitable than NK800. It's way better than NK800 because it's lighter and it feels way more maneuverable in a dense traffic. The only thing I don't really like about NK450 is that because of its really lightweight, once you ride really aggressively and fast, it feels as if the front wheel is hovering over the asphalt. And this bike has traction control. And what I'm trying to explain is that even though it has traction control, I still have that feeling, as if the handlebars are a bit loose. Again, only when I ride really fast. And that's pretty remarkable because Z400 has no traction control whatsoever, but it does feel way more stable. The front wheel feels way more planted on the asphalt once you ride. And these two bikes are really light. So NK450 is a bit lighter, to be exact 2 kilograms lighter than Z400, and it does feel super light. The throttle feels way more responsive than on Z400. And one incredible achievement of NK450 is that the throttle, even though it's super responsive, it's not jerky like KTM 390. And the second tiny complaint of mine is the seat. The seat is pretty comfortable, but I've noticed that once I ride for a long time, the seat starts rubbing my butt. Even though Z400 is a smaller bike and it's not as comfortable for me to ride Z400, but still, in terms of butt rubbing, if we can put it that way, I feel like Z400 does a better job. Before I rode NK450, I was convinced that Z400 would be the winner in terms of gearbox performance. And I was so surprised to find out that actually NK450 is not holding back. NK450 is showing a top-notch performance in terms of gearbox. It's so smooth, it's so great. I can actually ride this bike and enjoy shifting gears as if I'm on Kawasaki. These two gearboxes are just the best in the game. And of course, as I like to say, one of the most important parts of the bike is brakes. And these two bikes, they have the best brakes in the game. Actually, it's really hard to pick the winner because these two bikes, they're just topping the machine so well. The brake performance on Z400 is beyond my comprehension. But you know what's crazy? NK450 feels the same. NK450 feels so solid in terms of brake performance. I feel so confident riding this machine. I genuinely believe that it's hard to ask for better brakes. We could talk about TFT dash and LCD dash on Z400, but to be honest, it's not something that I want to talk about. Yeah, if you're looking for a TFT dash, of course, NK450 is going to be your option. But to be honest, it's really nice once you buy the bike, but still I'm not sure whether it will work properly in 5 or 10 years. So it's too early for me to evaluate the TFT dash. Let's see what time would tell. Suspension on those bikes is not adjustable, so I feel like it's pretty important for some people to know that NK450 has a bit harder suspension compared to Z400. So if you're riding somewhere where the road and asphalt or whatever you ride on is full of bumps and the ground is not even enough and you're looking for a softer suspension, Z400 might be your option. But to be honest, for a city like Tsingtao, suspension of NK450 is just perfect. I cannot say enough good things about that. It feels so good. It feels soft enough and hard enough. They just found a sweet spot. Wrapping up the video, I would say that I still prefer NK450 or Z400. For me, it's a very obvious choice. NK450 feels meaner, sounds better, is faster, way more fun to ride. And I think that everybody who's looking for a faster bike which is more fun to ride is going to go with NK450 and never be disappointed. But I would still repeat myself and say that if you're a total beginner, Z400 will be more approachable. It gives you way more room for a mistake. The throttle is not as responsive, which is really good for beginners. So the choice is yours. Probably some of you would mention comments that Z400 will be way more reliable because this is a Japanese bike. It's really hard to disagree with that, and I think that only time can tell whether NK450 is a reliable bike or not. But by now I can say that looking from the side on this machine, riding this machine for some time, it feels really high quality. It feels as if this is a very solid bike which would ride for ages. Guys, please tell me what you think about Z400 and NK450. Which bike would you pick? So this was my humble review and comparison between Z400 and NK450. I choose NK450 over Z400. Tell me what you think in the comment section below, and I see you in the next videos. See you guys. Stay safe.